Good morning, everyone, and welcome. I'm delighted to see you all here today. Today, we'll be exploring the basic principles of GMP, focusing on qualification and validation. This is a crucial topic for ensuring quality and compliance in our industries. Over the course of this presentation, we'll cover the fundamental concepts, best practices, and real-world applications. So, let's get started and deepen our understanding of GMP principles together. Let's start with the definitions. Validation, in the context of GMP, is about proving that any procedure, process, equipment, material, activity, or system actually leads to the expected results. It's a way of ensuring consistency and reliability in our operations. Now, qualification is similar, but focuses specifically on proving that premises, systems, and equipment work correctly and also lead to those expected results. Think of qualification as a subset of validation. It's a more specific step within the broader validation process. Most of the time, validation actually incorporates the concept of qualification. Basically, when we validate a process, we're often also qualifying the equipment and systems involved as part of that process. By understanding these two concepts and how they relate, we can see how validation and qualification work together to ensure quality and compliance throughout our manufacturing activities. This is fundamental to maintaining GMP standards and producing safe, effective products. Let's take a closer look at the principle behind qualification and validation. As part of good manufacturing practice, these processes are absolutely essential. The manufacturer must first identify what specific qualification and validation work is needed for each process or equipment. This step is crucial because it helps ensure that everything is appropriately scoped and that nothing important is overlooked. Once identified, these activities provide proof that the critical aspects of our work are under control. This means we can demonstrate, with documented evidence, that our processes are consistent and reliable. Having this documentation is key, not just for compliance, but also for maintaining quality and safety. The core elements here include defining and documenting our approach, often referred to as the Validation Master Plan, or VMP. This plan guides us through the qualification and validation activities, ensuring everything is systematic and traceable. So, in summary, qualification and validation are about confirming that our manufacturing processes meet the required standards and that we have solid evidence to back it up. This is fundamental for ensuring quality, safety, and compliance throughout the manufacturing lifecycle. Let's talk about the scope of our validation process. Essentially, we're looking for documented evidence that certain key components have been designed following good manufacturing practice, or GMP. This includes things like premises, supporting utilities, and equipment. It's important that we have clear documentation proving that these elements are in line with GMP standards. When we say designed in accordance with GMP, we mean that every aspect of these components has been carefully planned and verified to meet quality and safety requirements. Sometimes, this process is also referred to as design qualification, or DQ. That's just a more specific term for ensuring that the design itself is suitable for its intended purpose. Beyond design, we also focus on qualification and validation. This means we go beyond just the initial design and make sure that the actual installation, operation, and performance of these utilities and equipment continue to meet our quality standards throughout their life cycle. Overall, this scope helps us ensure that everything in our facility is built, installed, and operated to the highest quality standards, which is fundamental for maintaining product quality and patient safety. Let's talk about the scope of this phase. Essentially, it involves gathering documented evidence to prove that key components like premises, supporting utilities, and equipment have been built and installed correctly. This means they meet the design specifications set out at the beginning. We refer to this process as installation qualification, or IQ for short. It's a critical part of ensuring that everything is in place and functioning as intended before moving forward. This scope isn't just about installation. It also ties into qualification and validation activities. These steps help us confirm that the installation is compliant, reliable, and ready for the next phases of validation. Overall, this slide highlights the importance of thorough documentation, proof that each element has been properly built and installed according to plan. This foundation is essential to ensure quality and regulatory compliance throughout the project. Let's talk about the scope of this part of the qualification process. Essentially, it involves gathering documented evidence to demonstrate that supporting utilities and equipment are operating as intended. In other words, we need proof that they function according to their design specifications. This is a crucial step because it ensures everything is working reliably and consistently. Often, this is referred to as operational qualification, or OQ for short. OQ is a key component of the overall qualification and validation process. It helps us confirm that the equipment and utilities don't just meet the design criteria on paper, but actually perform correctly in real-world conditions. So, when we talk about scope here, we're focusing on verifying that the supporting utilities and equipment are fit for their purpose, ensuring the integrity and quality of our operations. By doing this, we build confidence that our systems are reliable and compliant with regulatory standards. Now, let's look at the scope of our qualification and validation efforts. Essentially, this slide emphasizes the importance of having documented evidence to demonstrate that supporting utilities and equipment consistently perform according to their design specifications. This isn't just about checking a box. It's about ensuring reliability and quality in our processes. You'll hear this also referred to as performance qualification, or PQ, which is a critical part of the overall qualification process. The goal here is to verify that everything works as intended in real-world conditions, not just in theory. This scope covers both the qualification and validation activities, making sure that each piece of equipment and utility can perform its role effectively. When we talk about supporting utilities and equipment, we're referring to the systems and devices that support our manufacturing processes and must operate consistently over time. In the next slide, we'll dive deeper into the specifics of process validation, PV, which complements these efforts by focusing on the actual process performance. So, in summary, having clear documented evidence for these elements helps us maintain high standards and ensures compliance, ultimately supporting the quality and safety of our products. Now, let's take a closer look at the scope of this slide. Essentially, we're talking about documented evidence that demonstrates a specific process will consistently produce a product that meets its predetermined specifications and quality attributes. In other words, we need proof that the process is reliable and under control. This is what we often refer to as process validation, or PV. It's a critical part of ensuring quality and consistency. Additionally, you'll see the terms qualification and validation mentioned here. Qualification usually refers to confirming that equipment or systems are properly installed, working correctly, and suitable for their intended purpose. Validation, on the other hand, involves confirming that the process itself consistently produces the desired outcome. Connecting this to our overall theme, these concepts form the foundation of quality assurance in manufacturing. They help us verify that every step in our process is capable of delivering a product that meets our strict standards, time and time again. Now, let's talk about the scope of qualification and validation. These processes are applicable to any part of our operation that could impact the quality of the product. This means they cover both direct and indirect factors. For example, they include premises, facilities such as utilities, equipment, and the processes we use. It's important to remember that whenever we make significant changes, whether to facilities, equipment, or processes, we need to consider whether requalification or revalidation is necessary. This ensures that we maintain control and consistency throughout our production. Qualification and validation are essential tools for verifying that our operations consistently produce quality products, aligning with our overall quality management goals. When it comes to qualification and validation, it's essential to remember that these activities should be part of an ongoing program. This means they're not a one-time event, but a continuous process that supports quality assurance over time. Initially, we perform thorough qualification and validation to establish that systems and processes meet the required standards from the start. But it doesn't stop there. We need to regularly review and assess these validations through an annual review. This helps us determine if revalidation is necessary, especially if there have been changes or updates. Maintaining validated status is crucial. We need to ensure that validation is sustained effectively over time, which requires consistent monitoring and documentation. All these activities should be clearly outlined in relevant policies and documented properly, for example, in the quality manual or our validation master plan. This documentation provides a structured framework that guides ongoing qualification and validation efforts, ensuring compliance and consistency throughout the process. So remember, qualification and validation are continuous, dynamic processes that should be integrated into our overall quality management system to support ongoing compliance and continuous improvement. Let's take a closer look at the different types of documentation involved in validation. First, we have the Validation Master Plan, or VMP. This is essentially the roadmap that outlines the overall validation strategy, defining scope, responsibilities, and the approach to ensure everything is aligned with regulatory expectations. Next, we have validation protocols. These are the detailed plans for specific tests and activities. They specify what needs to be tested, how it will be tested, and the acceptance criteria. Think of them as step-by-step instructions to verify that each system or process meets its requirements. Following that, validation reports are generated. These reports document the results of the validation activities, confirming whether the tests were successful or if there were deviations. They serve as the official record that the validation was completed and met the necessary standards. Then we have Standard Operating Procedures, or SOPs. These are the documented routines and instructions that ensure consistent execution of processes and validation activities. SOPs are critical for maintaining quality and compliance over time. Finally, there's qualification and validation itself. Qualification refers to confirming that equipment, systems, or facilities are installed correctly and operate as intended. Validation, on the other hand, is about confirming that the process itself consistently produces a quality product. Both are essential parts of a robust quality system. All these documentation types work together to support a structured, compliant approach to validation, which is fundamental to ensuring product quality and regulatory adherence throughout the life cycle of a product or process. Let's talk about documentation. It's essential because it clearly defines who is responsible for performing validation at each step. This clarity helps ensure accountability and consistency throughout the process. The validation activities should always be carried out following predefined and approved protocols, which serve as the official guidelines for how things should be done. All results and conclusions from these validations need to be recorded accurately and comprehensively. These are then summarized in written validation reports, which should be properly prepared and securely stored for future reference. Importantly, the insights gained from these validation results should form the basis for establishing and refining our processes and procedures. This creates a continuous improvement loop, ensuring that our systems remain reliable and compliant. Now, when we talk about qualification and validation overall, it's about making sure everything works as intended, and documentation is a cornerstone of that. Clear, thorough documentation supports audit readiness and helps maintain confidence in our validation efforts. Let's talk about the importance of premises, utilities, equipment, and processes in our validation efforts. These elements are fundamental because they form the foundation of our manufacturing environment and directly impact product quality. Because of their critical role, we pay particular attention to validating each component thoroughly. Specifically, we focus on analytical test methods, which are essential for ensuring our products meet quality standards. Automated systems also require careful validation to guarantee they perform consistently and accurately. Cleaning procedures are equally vital. Proper validation ensures that our cleaning processes effectively eliminate contaminants and prevent cross-contamination. Finally, qualification and validation processes are overarching strategies that confirm all systems and equipment operate as intended within their defined parameters. By rigorously validating these key areas, we safeguard the integrity of our products and maintain compliance with regulatory standards, ultimately supporting our overall goal of delivering safe, high-quality products to our customers. Let's now look at the qualification requirements for this piece of equipment. It's important to understand what specifications and standards it needs to meet to ensure proper operation and compliance. These requirements typically include aspects like performance criteria, calibration standards, and environmental conditions. Moving on to validation during this processing stage, we want to consider several key aspects. Validation isn't just a one-time check. It's an ongoing assurance that the equipment consistently performs as intended. We focus on parameters such as accuracy, precision, and reproducibility. It's also crucial to evaluate factors like operational limits, maintenance procedures, and potential risks that could impact performance. By thoroughly validating at this stage, we ensure the process remains reliable, compliant, and aligned with quality standards. This step connects directly to our overall goal of maintaining product quality and regulatory compliance throughout the manufacturing process. Now, let's talk about the elements that the validation master plan may include. First, there's the approval page and table of contents, which help organize and authorize the plan. Then, you'll find an introduction and clear objectives that set the stage for what we're aiming to achieve. Next, a detailed description of the facility and processes is essential to understand the scope. It's also important to outline personnel, planning, and scheduling to ensure everyone knows their roles and timelines. Responsibilities of the validation team members are specified to clarify who does what, which is crucial for accountability. We also need to consider process control aspects, how we monitor and control processes to ensure consistency. Equipment, apparatus, processes, and systems that are already qualified or validated, as well as those that still need validation, should be clearly identified. Acceptance criteria are vital. They define what success looks like for each validation activity. Proper documentation, including validation protocols and reports, ensures traceability and compliance. Standard operating procedures, or SOPs, provide the standardized instructions for routine and validation activities. Finally, training requirements and other relevant elements ensure that everyone involved is competent and that the validation process aligns with regulatory expectations. Overall, the validation master plan acts as a roadmap, guiding us through all these critical components to maintain quality and compliance in our validation efforts. When we talk about a qualification or validation protocol, it's essentially a detailed plan that guides the entire study. It should clearly outline the objectives of the validation or qualification study, so everyone understands what we're aiming to achieve. Next, it's important to specify the site where the study will take place, as conditions can vary between locations. The protocol also identifies the responsible personnel, ensuring accountability and clarity on who is overseeing each part of the process. It's crucial to include a thorough description of the equipment involved, since equipment performance directly impacts the validation results. Standard operating procedures, or SOPs, are another key component. They provide step-by-step instructions to maintain consistency. Standards and criteria for the relevant products and processes are also outlined, so we have clear benchmarks to determine if the processes meet the required quality and performance levels. And remember, for those interested in a more structured approach, the WHO formats and handouts serve as valuable references to ensure your protocol aligns with international best practices. Overall, these elements work together to create a comprehensive, clear, and effective validation or qualification protocol that supports consistent quality and compliance across your operations. When we talk about a qualification or validation report, it's important to understand that it should accurately reflect the elements outlined in the protocol. Essentially, the report serves as a comprehensive record that confirms whether the system or process meets the predefined requirements. It may include several key components, starting with the title, which clearly indicates the scope of the report. Next, we look at the objective of the study. This explains what we're aiming to verify or validate. Then, there's a reference to the original protocol, ensuring traceability and context for the validation activities. The report should also detail all the materials, equipment, instruments, and personnel involved, so everything used and who was responsible is clearly documented. It's also crucial to include the programs and cycles used during validation, as these provide insight into the operational parameters. Additionally, the report must describe the procedures and test methods in detail, so anyone reviewing it understands exactly how the validation was performed. Overall, a good qualification or validation report ties all these elements together, ensuring clarity, traceability, and confidence in the process or system being validated. This ties back to our overall goal of ensuring quality, compliance, and reliability in our operations. Now, moving on to some of the latest approaches, it's recommended that manufacturers incorporate a risk assessment into their validation processes. This isn't just a checkbox, it's a strategic tool. By performing a thorough risk assessment, we can better identify where our validation efforts should be focused. For example, it helps determine the need for qualification or even define the scope, such as utilities and equipment, that require validation. Risk assessment also guides us in pinpointing specific areas that need more attention during process validation, ensuring we're not wasting resources on low-risk activities. Additionally, it plays a crucial role in cleaning validation, helping us assess the potential risks of contamination or other issues. Overall, integrating risk assessment into qualification and validation not only enhances our control, but aligns our efforts with a more proactive, science-based approach. It's about making smarter decisions to ensure product quality and compliance. Currently, there's a noticeable shift in how we approach qualification and validation. While the core principles stay the same, the focus is evolving. US and EU guidance now emphasize process qualification, which is really about covering the entire life cycle of a product. It's not just about one stage. It includes everything from initial design through manufacturing and continued verification. This approach helps ensure that products are consistently manufactured to the right quality standards. We can think of it as a more holistic view, where product design gets additional attention to make sure everything is built on a solid foundation. There are three main phases in this process. First, process design, where we develop and refine how the process should work. Then, process qualification, which confirms that the process can reliably produce quality products. And finally, continued process verification, to keep monitoring and ensuring ongoing compliance over time. These phases are interconnected, forming a continuous cycle of ensuring quality and consistency throughout the product's life cycle. It's a more integrated and comprehensive approach, aligning with modern regulatory expectations and industry best practices. Let's now turn our attention to qualification and validation, which are crucial steps in ensuring our processes and systems meet all necessary standards. Qualification refers to verifying that equipment, systems, or processes are properly installed and operate according to specified requirements. Validation, on the other hand, is about confirming that these processes consistently produce the desired outcome, ensuring the quality and reliability of our results. Both are essential to maintain compliance and to safeguard product integrity. By thoroughly qualifying and validating our processes, we help prevent errors, minimize risks, and support continuous improvement. This ties directly into our overall goal of delivering safe, effective, and high-quality products to our customers. Now, let's turn our attention to qualification and validation, an essential part of ensuring quality and compliance in pharmaceutical manufacturing. According to WHO references, there are specific supplementary guidelines on good manufacturing practices that focus on validation. These guidelines cover a wide range of critical areas. For instance, validation of heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems is vital because these systems directly impact the control of environmental conditions, which in turn affects product quality. Similarly, water systems used for pharmaceutical purposes need to be validated to ensure purity and safety. Cleaning validation is another key aspect, as it guarantees that cleaning processes effectively remove residues and prevent contamination. Analytical method validation is equally important because reliable testing methods are fundamental to confirming product quality. We also have validation of computerized systems, which is increasingly relevant as technology becomes more integrated into manufacturing processes. Qualification of systems and equipment ensures that everything functions correctly and consistently. Non-sterile process validation is essential for products that do not require sterilization, but still need strict process control to ensure safety and efficacy. Altogether, these validation activities form the backbone of a robust quality system, aligning with our overall goal of delivering safe, effective, and high-quality pharmaceutical products. Let's look at some examples of priorities for process validation. When it comes to new processes, the key point is that every new process must be thoroughly validated before it receives approval for routine production. This is critical to ensure that the process is capable of consistently producing quality products from the start. For existing processes, the validation requirements depend on the product type. Take sterile products, for example. Any process that could impact sterility, such as those affecting the manufacturing environment or sterilization stages, must be validated. This ensures that sterility is maintained at every step, which is vital for patient safety. Now, for non-sterile products, the validation focus varies. For low-dose tablets and capsules, the main concerns are mixing and granulation processes, as well as parameters like content uniformity. These steps are essential to guarantee each dose contains the correct amount of active ingredient. For other tablets and capsules, the emphasis shifts slightly. Here, the key parameter is the uniformity of mass, along with other relevant quality attributes. Validating these processes ensures each tablet or capsule meets the specified quality standards, maintaining consistency across batches. Overall, understanding these different priorities helps us tailor our validation activities appropriately, ensuring quality and compliance across all product types. Now, let's take a look at some of the possible issues we might encounter during the qualification and validation process. First, lack of time is a common challenge. Often, deadlines are tight, and it can be difficult to allocate sufficient time for thorough validation. Next, lack of personnel can pose a problem, especially if we don't have enough trained staff to carry out all necessary tasks effectively. Lack of experience and knowledge is another issue. If the team isn't familiar with validation principles or specific procedures, it can lead to gaps or errors. Changes to the process can also disrupt validation efforts, requiring us to adapt and revalidate, which can be time-consuming. Then, there's the debate between prospective versus retrospective validation, deciding when to perform validation beforehand versus looking back at already completed processes. Each has its own challenges and implications. Another common hurdle is a lack of proper documentation infrastructure. Without a solid system to record and manage validation activities, maintaining compliance becomes difficult. Similarly, failure to implement validation properly can result in incomplete or ineffective validation efforts. Poorly designed documents also hinder clarity and consistency, making it harder to demonstrate compliance and ensure everyone is on the same page. All of these issues highlight the importance of being proactive and thorough in our qualification and validation efforts. Addressing these potential problems up front can save us time, resources, and help ensure the success of our validation activities. Let's talk about qualification and validation, focusing on a possible situation I, or we, might encounter. Imagine we're refurbishing a liquids department that produces a single product, and it's all happening on an established site with an existing purified water system. This kind of scenario requires careful consideration of several key areas. First, the ventilation system. It's crucial to ensure that the ventilation is properly designed and maintained to prevent contamination and to control environmental conditions. Any changes or refurbishments here need to be validated to confirm they meet the required standards. Next, equipment and process. When updating equipment or processes, validation ensures that everything functions correctly and consistently produces the quality product we expect. It's about verifying that modifications don't introduce risks and that the system remains compliant with regulations. Then, training. No matter how well-designed our systems are, their effectiveness depends heavily on the people operating them. Proper training ensures staff understand the new or modified processes, which is essential for maintaining quality and compliance. Throughout all these aspects, qualification and validation serve as the backbone to confirm that our changes are effective, compliant, and sustainable. Connecting this back to our overall theme, it's about managing risk and ensuring product quality through thorough, documented validation activities. Now, let's consider a possible scenario, the second one. Imagine introducing a new product into an existing tablet manufacturing site that's already producing 20 different products. This situation presents some unique challenges and requirements. First, process cleaning becomes especially critical to prevent cross-contamination between the new product and the existing ones. It's essential to establish rigorous cleaning protocols. Next, training plays a vital role. The staff needs to be thoroughly trained on the new process, ensuring everyone understands the specific steps and quality standards associated with this new product. This helps maintain consistency and compliance. Finally, qualification and validation are crucial. We need to validate that the new process consistently produces a quality product and that all equipment and procedures meet regulatory standards. Altogether, these steps, cleaning, training, and validation, are integral to smoothly integrating a new product into an existing manufacturing line while maintaining the high standards our industry demands. Now, let's consider a possible scenario: a new liquids manufacturing building being set up on an existing site, which will produce 2 different products. This situation involves several key aspects that we need to address thoroughly. First, ventilation is crucial. Proper airflow helps control contaminants, maintain product quality, and ensure a safe working environment. It's important to design systems that are efficient and compliant with regulations. Next, equipment and process considerations are vital. Choosing the right equipment and establishing robust processes ensure consistency, safety, and product integrity. These need to be validated and properly maintained. Cleaning is another critical element. Effective cleaning protocols prevent cross-contamination between products and uphold hygiene standards. Regular cleaning schedules and validation of cleaning procedures are essential. Training personnel is also a core part of this setup. Well-trained staff understand the processes, safety protocols, and quality requirements, which reduces errors and enhances overall compliance. Finally, qualification and validation of the facility, equipment, and processes are fundamental. They verify that everything operates as intended and consistently produces quality products, which is the backbone of manufacturing compliance and success. Connecting all these points, the goal is to create an environment that supports high-quality production while adhering to regulatory standards, ensuring safety and efficiency at every stage. For further support, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're here to help you with any questions or additional resources you might need. Thank you so much for your time and attention throughout this presentation. We appreciate your engagement and look forward to supporting your ongoing efforts.